So I went up to him. Can I stand up?
Yes.
Went up to him. Stood over like that. I'm not helping that. So I stood him first there. And I've done it a few times. While I was doing that, my voices were laughing and laughing and laughing louder and louder.
Children inevitably make mistakes as they grow and learn. Usually, these errors are minor, like stealing a candy bar from a store or cheating on a spelling test. It's uncommon for children to commit acts so serious that they are labeled as hardened criminals. Even more uncommon is for a child's misdeed to be so heinous that it leads them to the death row. Here are the stories of some of the most dangerous kids on death row, starting with the unsettling case of Austin Gregory Myers.
We therefore unanimously find the sentence of death be imposed upon Austin Myers.
In Ohio, Austin Gregory Myers became the state's youngest death row inmate after committing a brutal murder that shocked his community. Raised in Waynesville, Ohio, Austin seemed like an ordinary teenager, but harbored a darker side. His descent into crime intensified after befriending Timothy Mosley, with whom he shared a fascination for violence. On January 28, 2014, Austin and Timothy lured 18-year-old Justin Michael back to his home in Warren County under the guise of a friendly visit. Their motive was to steal a safe belonging to Justin's stepfather, Mark Cates, which they believed contained a significant amount of money.
What did he tell you?
He told me about Justin's house and his stepdad, saying he has a safe, he keeps it cracked open, and he has a gun and a lot of money.
Justin, unaware of their true intentions, let them into the house. Once inside, the teens executed their gruesome plan.
Came up with the plan of taking out Justin, because in the way.
Timothy ambushed Justin from behind, and Austin helped tackle him to the ground. They subjected Justin to a horrific assault, stabbed and beat him to death. Their goal was not only to steal the safe, but also to cover their tracks by making it look like Justin had run away after committing a theft. After the murder, they stole what they could from the house, including some jewelry and Justin's clothes, to make it appear as if he had packed to flee. They then attempted to clean up the crime scene using ammonia and loaded Justin's body into a vehicle, disposing of it in a remote area. However, their plan began to unravel when Justin's stepfather returned home and discovered the missing items. He immediately called law enforcement. The investigation quickly pointed to Austin and Timothy, especially after security footage showed a strange car parked outside the home around the time of the crime. The vehicle was traced back to Austin Myers. Both teens were brought in for questioning, and Justin's body was found not long after. Despite their attempts to pin the crime on each other with various fabricated stories, the evidence was overwhelming. DNA, witness testimonies, and the recovered murder weapons left no doubt about their guilt. Timothy Mosley managed to secure a plea deal, receiving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Austin Myers, however, was sentenced to death, becoming the youngest person on Ohio's death row. The case sparked a national debate on the fairness of the death penalty, especially for someone so young. In court, Justin's mother, Sandy Cates, addressed her son's killer, expressing her belief that Austin had multiple chances to stop the crime, but chose not to. As appeals and legal battles continue, Austin Myers remains on death row, serving as a chilling reminder of the severe consequences of such heinous acts. Krista Pike.
It is therefore ordered that you shall be put to death by electrocution in the mode prescribed by law, and that you shall be transferred to the custody of the warden at the Tennessee Prison Facility.
In Tennessee, Krista Pike became the youngest woman sentenced to death in the United States for a brutal murder committed at the age of 18. Her life was marked by tragedy and abuse from the beginning. Born in 1976 in West Virginia, Krista faced unimaginable hardships, including neglect and abuse from her alcoholic grandmother and later, her mother's abusive boyfriend. In 1995, Krista, along with her boyfriend, Tadaryl Shipp, and a friend, Shadala Peterson, brutally murdered Colleen Slemmer, a fellow student at the Job Corps in Knoxville, Tennessee. Believing Colleen was trying to steal her boyfriend, Krista lured her to an isolated location under the pretense of a drug deal. There, they attacked Colleen with a box cutter and a meat cleaver, carving a pentagram into her chest and ultimately beating her to death with a piece of asphalt. The sheer brutality of the murder shocked the nation. Krista kept a piece of Colleen's skull as a souvenir, a detail that horrified the public and the jury. She was quickly arrested and charged with first-degree murder. In 1996, she was convicted and sentenced to death. Krista's case has been mired in controversy and legal battles. She and her lawyers have argued for a commutation of her death sentence to life in prison, citing her abusive upbringing and her young age at the time of the crime. Despite multiple appeals, her sentence remains unchanged. As Krista Pike awaits her execution on death row, her story serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of abuse and the severe consequences of violent actions. Her case continues to provoke debate about the justice system and the ethical implications of the death penalty for young offenders. Brenda Spencer.
Brenda Spencer strikes you as quiet, reserved, polite, and intelligent.
In 1979, Brenda Spencer shocked the nation with a school shooting that left 2 adults dead and 8 children injured.
That on that Monday morning in 1979, she was hallucinating after a week of drinking whiskey and taking the powerful drug PCP, a drug she says she bought at school.
Born in 1962 in San Diego, California, Brenda's early life was plagued by poverty, instability, and a turbulent home environment. Her father, Wallace Spencer, was an avid gun collector who introduced Brenda to firearms at a young age. Brenda struggled with numerous health issues, drug use, and petty theft, contributing to her reputation as a troubled youth. On January 29, 1979, 16-year-old Brenda Spencer carried out a horrific attack on Grover Cleveland Elementary School from her home across the street. Armed with a .22 caliber automatic rifle given to her as a Christmas gift by her father, Brenda began firing at the children lined up outside the school gates. Principal Burton Ragg and custodian Michael Sucker were killed while trying to protect the students. 8 children were wounded in the shooting. During the ensuing standoff with police, Brenda infamously explained her actions by saying, "I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day." After hours of negotiations, she surrendered peacefully. Brenda was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder and multiple counts of attempted murder. In 1980, Brenda pleaded guilty and was sentenced to concurrent terms of 25 years to life in prison. Her case drew widespread media attention and inspired the song "I Don't Like Mondays" by the Boomtown Rats. Despite her troubled background and claims of abuse, her actions left an indelible mark on the community and highlighted the devastating impact of untreated mental health issues and access to firearms. Brenda Spencer remains incarcerated at the California Institution for Women in Corona. Her story continues to serve as a chilling reminder of the potential for violence in young individuals and the lasting scars left by such tragic events. Aiden Fucci.
We're having fun in a f***ing cop car.
Yep.
It's very serious.
In a crime that shocked Florida and the nation, 14-year-old Aiden Fucci brutally murdered his 13-year-old classmate, Tristan Bailey, in May 2021. Aiden, who lived in St. Johns County, Florida, lured Tristan out of her home late at night under the pretense of meeting friends. Instead, he led her to a secluded area where he attacked her with a knife, stabbing her over 100 times in a premeditated act of violence. Security footage captured the two walking together before the murder, and later, Aiden was seen alone, running from the scene. The brutal nature of the crime was further highlighted by Aiden's disturbing behavior afterward. While in the back of a police vehicle, he posted a selfie on Snapchat with the caption, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristan lately?"
That Snapchat you did is not very similar.
It's all over, you're all over the internet and or social media.
It is on social media. You'll probably come stay with me after we get done with this. Just for your well, safe being.
The police quickly arrested Aiden, and he was charged with first-degree premeditated murder. During the investigation, evidence including bloody clothes and shoes, as well as a knife believed to be the murder weapon, were found at Aiden's home. His mother, Crystal Lane Smith, was also charged with tampering with evidence after she attempted to wash the blood from Aiden's clothes. In court, Aiden initially pleaded not guilty, but later changed his plea to guilty, admitting to the heinous act. The judge called the killing heinous, atrocious, and cruel, and sentenced Aiden to life in prison, noting that due to his age, he would not be eligible for the death penalty. Aiden's mother, Crystal, was sentenced to 30 days in prison and 5 years of probation for her role in attempting to cover up the crime. Tristan Bailey's murder left the community in mourning and raised questions about the underlying causes of such extreme violence in youth. Aiden Fucci's story serves as a grim reminder of the capacity for brutality in young individuals and the far-reaching consequences of their actions. Anthony Haynes. In a crime that stunned Houston, Texas, Anthony Cardell Haynes became infamous as a teenage cop killer. Born on September 12, 1980 in Oakdale, California, Anthony's early life was marked by a troubled upbringing, characterized by a tumultuous home environment filled with domestic violence and instability. As a teenager, Anthony's behavior became increasingly erratic. He struggled academically, frequently clashed with the law, and harbored a deep-seated resentment towards authority, particularly law enforcement. This resentment was fueled by an incident at age 15, when he witnessed a police officer brutally beat a fellow teenager during a routine traffic stop. On May 22, 1998, Anthony's simmering rage culminated in a tragic encounter with off-duty Houston Police Department Sergeant Kent Kincaid. During an evening out with his wife, Kincaid's vehicle was hit by an object thrown from Anthony's truck. Initially believing it to be a rock, Kincaid pursued Anthony, who had actually fired a shot at his car. When Kincaid, despite being off-duty, identified himself as a police officer and approached Anthony's truck, Anthony shot him in the head and fled the scene. Kincaid died from his injuries. The police quickly traced the truck back to Anthony, who was apprehended and confessed to the murder, although he claimed he did not know Kincaid was a police officer. Anthony was charged with capital murder, and his trial captivated the community. Witnesses testified to Anthony's deep-seated hatred for law enforcement and his explicit threats against officers. Despite arguments from his defense about his traumatic upbringing and lack of support, the overwhelming evidence led to a guilty verdict. Anthony was sentenced to death. The conviction served as a stark reminder of the consequences of violent acts and the impact of systemic failures in addressing the needs of troubled youth. In 2012, Anthony was nearly executed, but the Supreme Court issued a stay just 2 hours before his scheduled execution, citing concerns about the adequacy of his legal representation. Since then, he has filed numerous appeals, all of which have been denied. As Anthony Haynes remains on death row, his case continues to provoke discussions about the justice system, the death penalty, and the factors that drive young individuals to commit such heinous crimes. His story underscores the enduring consequences of violence and the profound impact on the victims and their families.